What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We are checking out the trailer for Superman, the Christopher Reeve story. You
Adam,
will
don't already
believe
start
a
crying.
man
Don't already
can
start.
cry.
You're already about to cry.
I'm already emotionally
You're already
compromised,
about to
goddammit.
Superman.
We're watching this trailer today. I'm actually seeing this movie early tomorrow. So make sure you guys check out the Chexicans podcast this week. I'll talk about it, give you my thoughts on it. I'm expecting to really enjoy it. I think it's going to be really moving and insightful. It comes out on September 21st, and then there's an encore on September 25th, which is probably one of the best birthdays in the world because it's not only Christopher Reeve's birthday, it's Hector's birthday.
It's Will Smith's birthday. I mean, it's Michael Douglas's birthday. I mean, it's Mark Hamill's birthday. I mean, it's Catherine Zeta-Jones's birthday. I mean, it's I think it's also Donald Glover's birthday, maybe.
It is, I think.
can't
Yeah, you're
remember.
right.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good birthday. I'm excited for this because, like, I expect these kinds of movies to be made for actors like this and activists like this that we all adore, to learn more about who they were as people. But what I don't expect is for them to be Warner Brothers Pictures produced, or for them to be, this is DC Studios presents. This is James Gunn's DC Studios, James Gunn and Peter Safran coming in and producing this and distributing it. And that's really cool to see. I would love Warner Brothers, led by James Gunn with the sort of DC side of things, to pay tribute to not just the actors, but a lot of the creatives who I feel like have gone, especially Jerry Siegel, Joe Shuster, the creators of Superman. They have a really tragic story. For decades, fans have been like, Warner Brothers, the corporation that owns Superman, like, will never do right by them. But I believe that people like James Gunn, who really love comic books and movies and those stories, can be the face of a change for that. I really hope that that kind of stuff can change and we can get more stuff like this. Yeah, this will make us cry. Yes, 100%. Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I don't expect anything less. Yeah, 100%.
Also, before we get into it, it's worth mentioning that you can check out our Patreon. We have a ton of uncut reactions for so many things that we're watching. Just made some updates recently. We have some new tiers. We've adjusted some tiers. And also, next year, before Superman comes out, James Gunn's Superman, we will revisit the Christopher Reeve Superman films. So join our Patreon. Those will be on there, both the uncut and the cut downs before they come to YouTube. Check that out. That's going to be really fun. I love revisiting those movies. All of them have flaws. It's all good. But I'm looking forward to revisiting those. That'll be a really fun time. You guys ready to get in this trailer?
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Hope you got your tissues ready.
Everybody's looking for a hero. I am not a hero.
what a great trailer. What a great...
I'm not that man.
Hands down, he was Superman from day one.
I realized that if I could pull off this part, it would change my life.
John Houseman said, Mr. Reeve, it is very important you become a serious classical actor. Unless, of course, they offer you a load of money to do something else.
That's hilarious.
Convinced me when I first met him that he would fly.
Doing things with my dad. It was all about activity and action. Riding bikes, playing soccer, skiing.
Man.
Very competitive, and he didn't necessarily slow down.
We said goodbye.
Wait, hockey? Come on. How can you not love this man?
That was the last time I saw him on his feet.
Man. And I think he was a kid when that happened.
Oh, yeah.
He has no movement or
Man.
respiration.
Superman, crazy. Just that simple little thing over the horse.
I'd ruined my life.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Everybody else's. I won't be able to sail, throw a ball to Will. Won't be able to make love to Dana. Maybe we should let me go.
She came flying in, and she just yelled, "I love you. I love you."
And then she said the words that saved my life. You're still you, and I love you.
He and Robin were such good friends because they could match each other. Robin also had struggles that he dealt with his whole life, and I think that they both were aware of darkness.
Brother Chris is
Yeah, I think they were roommates, I think.
Juilliard, yeah.
But still keep their humanity. That gives you great hope.
That is tough because I can feel him, but he can't feel me.
It must have been hell for my mom, too, knowing what she had lost.
I felt I needed to do something, not just for myself, but for everyone else in the same condition.
The fact that Superman was in a wheelchair and was willing to go public with it was huge.
Help is on the way.
The Christopher and Dana Reeve Paralysis Act.
People are literally walking because of him.
What is a hero? My answer was that a hero is someone who commits a courageous action without considering the consequences. Now my
That is it.
Completely different. I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles.
And that is also it.
I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
I'm going to be wrecked tomorrow.
Wow. So good. So good.
I just know the part in the movie
that
where
trailer was amazing.
It's really great. It's so emotional. If they show the scene that he did on Smallville, Adam is going to be destroyed emotionally. There's no coming back from it. As soon as Smallville comes into it, and when he did that and played the scientist who discovered Krypton, it was so. I know how impactful that was for our generation, but I love that trailer. I know that I've seen maybe documentary TV specials about Christopher Reeve. I feel like I know,
there's a lot of, they did a lot of stuff around when he, in between 95 and 04 when he died, they did a lot of stuff. And I think after he passed away, they did stuff on like 2020. They did quite a few. They did quite a few things that really, talked about the Christopher Reeve and Dana Reeve Foundation and everything that it did.
I am surprised, though, that it took this long for this level of documentary film to be released, because even just a few moments into this, I was like, oh, my God, I'm remembering how much his activism changed people's lives. And I'm just like, that's so profound. That's so crazy. So that's going to be a good movie, dude. That's a you go to the theater and you get ready and just brace yourself.
You get ready to cry, and you prepare your Blu-ray player too, because you're gonna need that on 4K.
Yeah,
and Blu-ray
I know.
and everything. Yeah. That's so good.
Especially because films like that always have a lot of extra interviews and stuff that will probably be not fit into that final running time that are also going to be just as good. Sorry, go ahead, Augustine. You're not aware.
I was gonna say I wasn't super aware, or I'm not super aware of the things that came after, like all the acts that happened, like Obama, signing the Christopher Reeve Act and things like that. I wasn't really paying attention during that point of my life, and so I'm not aware of all the things that he did and all the activism. I knew he was an activist, and I knew he was deeply involved with a lot of things, but I don't know specifically what. So this is going to be huge. It's going to be a really good one to get into. It doesn't seem like they're going to focus too much on the Superman aspect, other than the fact that obviously he is Superman, right? I think this is going to be an interesting look at his life now that he has adult children and their side of the story, because I'd never heard. Honestly, I didn't even know he had children. Like, that's just how unaware I am of the whole situation. Yeah. So to see their perspective, they're probably about our age, if not maybe a little bit older. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they reacted and what happened to them and his peers and all that stuff. Yeah,
his older son and daughter are they're like around our age or older, and then his son Will is, I think, he's in his late 20s. So he was a really small kid when Christopher Reeve died. He was I think he was maybe like around 8 to 12. And then I don't know if you know this, Augustine, but maybe a year or two after Christopher Reeve passed away, his wife Dana Reeve passed away because she got breast cancer.
I see.
And so this young kid, Will, was left with no parents, and he was not even a teenager.
Yeah, that's tragic. That's tragic.
Yeah. And I'm sure that we're going to learn more about Dana in this stuff. I mean, it felt like this showed the family, like you're saying, Augustine, versus just like the sort of like, and I enjoy this stuff too, just the sort of like puff piece or documentary behind the scenes of like, here's how the 4 Superman movies were made. That stuff is great. And I think there's plenty of stuff like that that's out there, but it did feel like this trailer is like, look, there was this young actor. When he got this role, it changed his life. Here's who he was before. Here's what happened after. And we'll see that effect and we'll see some of that, I'm sure. But
yeah,
I think that, like you guys are saying, it seems like the majority of this film is going to focus on his activist work and his family. And it's just like, why not, dude? That stuff
of course.
it's incredible.
Yeah.
So,
and like you were saying, Hector, it's crazy that, this is the 20th anniversary of his death this year in October.
Yeah.
And the fact that it has taken 20 years for anyone to put a documentary like this together, theatrical one, is crazy. But it's weird, but it also kind of comes at a perfect time because the DC brand has so much attention on it right now.
Yes.
And of course he's not just Superman. He's so much more than that. But because now we're living in this world where the DC brand is kind of rebooting and we have a new Superman movie coming out, it is kind of a perfect time to put out a movie like this because it's going to get all the attention it deserves, primarily because people who are Superman fans who maybe don't know Christopher Reeve's history, I know him because I've seen the movies, but I don't really know him. Maybe this is a good opportunity to like understand who the man was who played the character that like my parents loved when I was a kid, or my older brother, or I loved growing up. I think that's going to be nice, that hopefully, the awareness of the DC brand and the reboot of the DC brand will push people. Well, I want to go check this out because I want to know a little bit more about the history of like those old movies and this actor.
And I will always, as a comic book and a fan of that character, and as a comic book fan, I will always know that there are so few actors who have played roles from comic book characters or comic book worlds like this, who like so get the character. Just to hear when Christopher described what a hero was in two sentences, and his first sentence, I was like, yeah, holy shit, that is exactly, 100%. That's Superman. And then his second sentence, I was like, that's also true. This is also heroism. Like, I just love, I love hearing Christopher Reeve talk about
me too.
Any of this stuff, and talk about, and like when at the beginning of the trailer, I didn't mention this while we were watching it, but he was doing an impression of his teacher. I thought it was actually his teacher.
Oh, that's funny.
And then it cut to Christopher Reeve doing the British accent. I'm like, this kid was good, man. This kid, he was real good. He was he was so good, and he was so good on talk shows. So just like, I love hearing him talk about heroism, and he always like treated that character so well. Frankly, this is not a diss either, because I love Keaton, but like sometimes you hear the way Michael Keaton talks about Batman, you're kind of like, all right, man, like you're having a good time and you're kind of a dick, and like, this is cool. We love you and this is great. But the way Christopher talked about Superman is, it feels like so few actors kind of open their hearts up to these kinds of roles the way that he did, man. And
Christopher Reeve was also 24 when he played Superman for the first time. So he was so young.
He's a baby.
It's crazy to think about that now, being 37, because when I was a kid watching that movie, I thought 24 was so old. And now you watch it, like he was a baby. So I think that also makes a big difference too. Like he was 24 when Michael Keaton, or a lot of other actors who play superheroes, they're like well into their 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. Point.
That's true.
So they've lived a very different life. So they're maybe a little bit more, I don't know, their attitude is a little bit different towards those things. I feel like Christopher Reeve being 24, you're young enough that the comic books and that story and the idea of what Superman represents can really impact you as a young person. I think that maybe even influenced his attitude in a lot of ways of how he treated people and how he was with people. But, that'll be a fun thing to see.
I always got the impression that he was not cynical, but he was also not naive, even when he was young, even when he was talking about Hollywood and his career and everything. Like, that's what I loved about him, that man, is that he seemed sincere, but he was like earnest and, just not cynical. Like that's such a rare quality, man. Everybody is so cynical these days.
I know.
Anyway, did you guys see Michael Keaton interviewing himself on Beetlejuice Hot Ones? It's a fun time. It's real fun.
That's hilarious.
I'm looking forward to seeing this. I'm going to be emotionally wrecked. I'm so glad we're not doing the podcast tomorrow, because if I had to go from watching that movie to going to do a podcast, I probably would, not do it.
You're going to need a day to recover.
Yeah, exactly. But make sure you guys come back on Wednesday. Well, I'll talk about the movie. I'll let you know my thoughts. Also, let us know what you thought about this trailer. It was such a good trailer, and having that John Williams music like rescored to the trailer was so perfect. But let us know your thoughts. Definitely try to check it out if it's playing locally in your area, September 21st or the 25th. I think it'll be a really, really nice, insightful thing for a lot of us to just learn more about who this person was, not just the character that he played on screen. But check out everything else that we're watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.